Welcome back to Driven to Live. We're excited to be here this week. We got a special guest, the editor-in-chief over at The Drive, uh, Kyle Cheromcha, or Romka, I should say. Kyle
Thank you.
Cheromcha. I told him I was going to mess that up.
And we got that
And
out
we
of the
got a
way.
whole, yeah, I got it out of the way early on. It's all uphill from here, everybody. Uh, Fascinating show this week. Tons of great topics. We're going to talk about what we're driving, what life is like for Kyle in the automotive uh, news industry, what it's like for us, the challenges everybody's facing, the drive, the YouTube channel, all sorts of stuff. Jesus, kick us off.
All right. Well, look, for anyone who's watching, listening, Kyle is a former boss of mine because I wrote for The Drive for a hot minute in the summer of 2020 during the peak of COVID. So, and he put me through a writer boot camp that has served me well ever since. So I always tip my hat off to Mr. Kyle for giving me the opportunity. And now that we have him here, I want to talk about some stuff like I keep seeing because I work in a lot of the retail industry of cars and dealerships, and one of the complaints I keep hearing from both sides, customers and shoppers and everybody, is cars now become not just complicated to fix, but they kind of feel disposable at the point like they don't like people don't like they don't want you to fix them at all. And that whole thing of cars being disposable has been around since the 80s because back then you had the K cars, you had the Yugos, you had cars that were just built just to drive 7 years for the junker, be recycled. Now it feels like they're actually integrating that more and more so because now everything is not just parts; it's all modules. So you can't just replace the door handle; you have to buy the whole panel. And so, based on you guys' opinion, because you guys do test new cars and you have older vehicles, do you feel that they are moving in towards that where cars are just going to have a lifespan of 5 or 7 years and then that's it? Get another one like any other electronic.
Well, I'll go first. I do think that is the case. I don't know that it is as intentional as maybe you're setting it up because obviously I think automakers know that selling a car with like a baked in lifespan from the get go is going to annoy people. But at the same time, if you think about, a project car, or you think about an old car from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 100,000 miles was a huge accomplishment, right? That was like the marker when you're looking at a used car of like, oh, I can't touch that because that is past its prime. And then starting in the 90s, the engineering really took some massive leaps and bounds in how engines were built, how transmissions were built. And we had this run of about 15, 20 years where suddenly cars could go 200,000, 300,000 miles, and models that, setting aside a Toyota of the world, cars that were not capable of that before and brands that were not known for that kind of reliability. And I do think there was a recognition among automakers that, oh, people are going to buy a car and drive it for 10, 15 years instead of 5. That's kind of bad for business. And so you have the simultaneous push to add as much in terms of new features to cars to keep that buyer cycle active and keep people looking for the new thing, buying new thing. Obviously, when screens entered the picture in a big way, like 10 years ago, that was a huge push. And at the same time, the materials that go into cars, there's more plastic than ever. Anyone who's owned an old BMW like me knows that plastic has a finite lifespan, especially if you are not parking it indoors or in like the exact perfect climate. So I think it's this twin force of automakers recognizing that they need to keep people buying new cars for the industry to keep functioning, and the natural evolution of how we build these cars is putting them in a point where while the engine may be good for 200,000 miles, a lot of other parts on it are not, and especially in the interior, you're going to see the age and wear and tear that's going to kind of annoy people to the point of, well, I guess it's time for a new car after 5 years because it still works, but the center console is disintegrating, so on to the next one.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. I like that twin force. That's a very good approach to it. Steven, what do you think?
Pretty much agree. As soon as Kyle mentioned the 90s, it just reminds me of Matt Farah's Million Mile Lexus. Like, what a bulletproof car. And like the LS in general is a great car, but it is kind of representative of that entire time period where cars started to really come into their own. And now it feels like a whole bunch of stuff has led us where we're at, right? Like we've seen in the last few weeks reports of like how tighter and tighter and tighter engineering tolerances and lower weight oils have led to like more recalls and more issues and more longevity problems, right? And so like technology is improving and engines are technically getting more efficient, but you are sacrificing some reliability, right, at the same time. And I mean, it's funny to me if you look back at like really old, like you could even look back at like supercars, like older Lamborghinis and Ferraris and stuff, and like the build quality is questionable. Let's put it that way. But if you look at some of the newer stuff, even from like 10 or 15 years ago, the buttons get really sticky and like it's kind of crazy how cheap some of them feel, despite the fact that like the engineering process has become better. And like now you don't have switches with no labels or like switches that look like someone just like put them on at the last second. But some of the stuff there is just going to degrade over time no matter what you do with it. And I would agree, it's, automakers know that their cars need to last to a degree, right? Especially brands like Toyota, Honda, like they're built on reliability, right? And we still have these huge questions about a lot of the like the new like iForce Max engines and stuff like that. Like how's that is that going to make it to 200,000 miles without a big problem?
I mean, if you're talking about the V6, it already hasn't. I mean, they had that massive recall.
Right.
That we still get emails about every week. And, we published a report about the expansion of the recall last week. Toyota's very sensitive about it, as you would expect. Had some thoughts about the word choices that we used in the story. But yeah, like they're sensitive to it, like you said. Like they get that these, especially now in the age of social media, like so one person's bad experience with a lemon basically can turn it into an entire narrative about the quality of the model. That can,
they can just
really
catch fire.
Yeah. So, and I'll throw one more factor at you that I just came to my mind. As cars got bigger and bigger starting in the 90s, they were obviously getting heavier too, but they would be even more heavy if automakers weren't opting for plastic over metal in a lot of cases. And so that's part of the push as well, is they're using these, well, we feel like they're cheaper. They are actually cheaper to manufacture, but they're using these more like short-term solutions to keep cars at an acceptable weight while they're also getting bigger, literally bigger and bigger with every year and every generation. So, that's how you end up in a place where it doesn't, a Toyota Corolla from 2000 feels more substantial than one from 2025. Even though it's like a much nicer interior, like it looks a lot nicer. It feels, the seats are nice, the seats are better, the dashboard's really nice design. Like it's a nicer place to spend time, but doesn't really hold up the same. I mean, we don't know what it'll be in another 20 years, but you can imagine, right? You can imagine.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. I just had a Land Rover Defender for a week, and the steering wheel is like texturized aluminum. It's like actual metal. And I'm like, I mean, this is a cool touch, but to your point, like if they did that kind of thing around the entire interior, think about, I mean, even aluminum weighs a lot more than plastic.
We talk about longevity because all of us have older vehicles in our personal collection. And a lot of people that have personal vehicles that are older, now we're talking like 25 plus, 30, 40, 50 years older. Most of the time they're running because we're too stubborn to let them go. But there is a certain thing like I drove my 64 Thunderbird for the first time on the highway today. Totally with nothing, like no plates, no registration, no. All I had, if someone stopped me and said, "Is it your car?" All I had to me was a photo of the title. That doesn't have my name, just that it was me.
That's something. That's something.
Yes, I did. This car not stolen, but that car has 96,000 original miles on it, and we just restored it, and so it's still rolling. It drives really nice, but only because I didn't want it to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I keep thinking about younger generations who are going to see, oh, I want a 2019 Hellcat. It is 2040 already, but I want to restore it. Good luck. Yes. I mean, I don't know if they're going to keep making plastic parts for these cars. So that's another aspect I have about these kind of cars as far as longevity, because Hellcats are definitely going to be collectible. Mustangs, all these modern muscle cars are going to be collectible. A lot of the trucks, maybe some of the SUVs, some of the supercars, but it might create a new industry of just plastic makers. Like, hey, look, I can make you a dash for your 2020 Silverado out of a different material, so it won't crack as much, whatever it is. I'm very curious to see how that's going to evolve over time for this era of vehicles.
Well, I mean, I would imagine that you're right. That will happen. It already is to a certain degree. Like, I have a 1988 K5 Blazer that I also drive illegally currently because it failed smog, and so it's not registered. It's, don't tell the DMV, although they could listen to this if they wanted to. But, you can go to LMC Truck and buy reproduction dash pads, because those were plastic already in the 80s, and they crack horribly. Mine is not cracked, but it is kind of melted. It's got some hills and dales in it. And you can buy that. You can buy all the trim pieces, whatever. Like, anything plastic in that truck, you can buy a reproduction of. And of course, it's not cheap, even though it's plastic. But I haven't actually bought any because I don't feel like spending that kind of money on a dash pad. So I can't tell you how much they hold up compared to the original one. But even then, like, the plastics in that truck, it has lived in Southern California its whole life. It has rarely been parked indoors. There are parts that are a little cracked or whatever, but you don't get like the disintegration that you get on modern plastics. Like, it's all held up pretty nicely overall. So something is a little different in the water these days.
Have you guys seen the Jesus, your comment about the Hellcat made me think about it. Have you guys seen the door cards on the Dodges that kind of like peel back over time?
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. Which Dodges?
Specifically Chargers for sure. It could be Challengers as well. Hang on, I'm going to Google it and we're going to see if we can find it. Dodge Charger.
Well, in the meantime, Kyle, I wanted to ask you, what is it like driving a K5 Blazer in Southern California now?
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I will say it does have front disc brakes, rear drums, but even with those front discs, they're very small. They don't. I mean, they do not fill out the wheel whatsoever, and so braking is probably the hardest or the biggest thing to account for, in that people are not going to leave you space. You get cut off on the highway or getting on an off ramp, or even in like a normal multi-lane road, like someone just zips in front of you because they're trying to get into the far left lane to make a left turn. They don't think about your lack of brakes, and so you really got to be on it. And also, there's no ABS, so with all-terrain tires, second the road's a little bit wet, it's so easy to lock up the brakes, and I've done that multiple times. The off-ramp coming off the freeway near my house is a long downhill, and sometimes I even forget that, I have to add maybe like 50 or 60% more braking distance, and I'll get down to my normal stopping point that I would do, or normal braking point that I would do in any other car, and I have to hit the brakes a little hard, and suddenly they're locked up, and I'm just sliding down. So that's the downside, but the upside is that the visibility is fantastic in that thing. The A-pillars are super thin. It's got full glass around the back. People love it. Like, I get lots of waves and thumbs ups, and people come. At least once a month when I'm driving it. Well, I don't really drive it in the summer because it doesn't have air conditioning and it is an all black truck. But it, people leave notes on it asking to buy it. People come up to me and asking to buy it. I had some furniture delivered the other day, and the guy, after bringing the new cabinet in, was like, "Hey, that truck in your driveway, you selling it?" I was like, "No, man," because it sits outside. It's got some dust on it, but I'm like, "No, that's a drivable truck that is not going anywhere." Thank you for the interest, though.
And did you? Like, would you sell it? Was it?
You know, I am debating it currently because it's a family heirloom. It was my father-in-law's truck that he bought new back in '88. It's the vehicle that my wife came home from the hospital in when she was born. It's got a lot of sentimental value. But it's, my father-in-law very nicely gave it to me a number of years ago because he didn't want it anymore, and it was really funny to think now. This was about 2014, 2015. He wanted to sell it for $5,000 and put it on Craigslist and got no takers. Like, no one wanted it because that's how much values have risen since then. And This is a low miles. It's got 97,000 miles on it. Southern California, zero rust, like Southern California its whole life. And he couldn't get $5,000 for it. So he was like, hey, do you want it? Absolutely. But at the same time, I don't drive it as much as I should. I haven't had the time with my job to put the kind of attention on it that I really wanted to. And I don't currently own a fun car, as fun as that is. Like, it's a different kind of fun, right? My E46 met its untimely end earlier this year. Not crashed, the transmission just went. But I've been thinking more and more that, like, I miss driving fast, and I miss steering feel, and I miss air conditioning. So
this amount of play is not doing it for you.
Oh man, you go into you triple or double or triple that. You're going down the freeway, and you can literally turn the wheel in probably, I don't know the degrees, but you can have your hand on it. There's just no motion whatsoever. So yeah,
there's a video for you right there. Get a little contraption that shows.
There you go. Yeah,
stick your phone.
It's very
on
easy
that
to parallel park though, because it's that '80s overboosted steering. You can spin the wheel with one finger, and the visibility again. You can see everything. So, so I'm thinking about selling it. I kind of want to realize a couple more things with it first, like the interior. Apart from the plastic, the dash is in mostly good shape, but it doesn't have the original seats because those disappeared at some point. And I feel like I would enjoy it a little bit more. And currently, this is funny. Currently, it has a pair of power seats from a Mercedes ML, a first-gen Mercedes ML, that my father-in-law found in a junkyard and was like, oh, I bet I could wire these up. And he actually wired them up. They're connected to the battery, the motor, so they work and everything. But you can't flip them forwards. And so if I want to put anyone in the back seat, they have to climb over the seats and sort of squeeze their way through over the center console and then get back there. And it is, a few people have done it. It's a very undignified thing to ask of someone when you're giving them a ride. So I would like to get real seats in there and see if I enjoy driving it around and having people in it more. Because I got to say, having the top off is amazing. Like, it is so nice. It is like driving a porch. Like, it's just open air, and because it's got the roof over the passenger compartment, it's pretty calm in there. Like, you're not buffeted by wind, and that hardtop weighs 300 pounds maybe, and so yeah, full fiberglass, and it's huge, and it's got the full side glass, not the sliding window, so that's extra weight. But you take that off and you feel the difference. Like, it is a more sprightly vehicle for sure. But then you got to put it back on, obviously. So we'll see.
You
we'll
need
see what
a
happens.
hoist for that thing.
Well, I don't have a garage at my house, so I don't have a way to hoist it. And there are some people, enterprising individuals on Facebook, who will sell you like an engine hoist that has been converted with like a forklift situation, and you can sort of.
No way.
Yeah, but I don't know about that.
You definitely want that out in public where your neighbors can see it.
Exactly. And then they can see me when I drop the hard top on my leg and I'm trapped in the driveway. So, yeah.
Well,
Safety first. You got a spotter across the road.
I would say, Kyle, since you wouldn't mind selling it, but you don't want to sell it. If someone asks you, is it for sale? Just throw a number out with the semi tax on top of it.
Yeah.
And they say, why? Dude, that's what I want. I don't need to sell it.
I think everybody's got a price, right? Like $6 million. I think we'd all. Yeah. Okay.
Listen, it honestly is probably worth $9 or $10 in its current state. And if someone came and offered me 15 or 18 for it, I would have a hard time saying no. No one
It's
has yet.
like, show it to me in cash and then ask me again. Like,
Yeah,
There you
exactly.
well, that's a good question. Well, I mean, because I asked you because we're over here in Arkansas and Texas, and so all we hear is the bad stuff about LA and the car scene. But that's what we wanted to ask you because you're right in the middle of it, and you have a car that typically they would say, "Oh, this car, LA hates this kind of trucks." So that's why I wanted to ask you what's it like? Because we would everyone in the world think, "Oh, you can't have a big old '80s V8 truck in LA. They're gonna throw acid on it." But
Sorry, did I cut you off?
please.
You know, I understand the hate that California gets and LA in particular gets from a lot of car enthusiasts. I mean, the smog rules here are over the top, let's say. I mean, big smog problem 30, 40 years ago. It did need to be dealt with.
Yeah.
The fact that they haven't made it a rolling... we actually just did a YouTube video about this. The fact that they haven't made it a rolling year exception and every car made after 1976 has to be smog tested every 2 years and pass, like, that is very obviously designed to get those cars off the road. Mm-hmm. And setting aside people like me who just want a cool old truck and want to drive it around, another fact about California is that because of the weather and the climate, there are a lot of people who don't need to buy a new car and can't afford a new car and therefore drive a 30 or 40-year-old car, not because it's cool, but because that's all they can afford. And, the fact that those people have the choice between spending money to meet a frankly arbitrary emission standard and or having to pony up and find some other means of transportation, I don't think it's fair. And the efforts to change those laws, as Jay Leno attempted earlier this year, met a dead end and will probably continue to meet a dead end because the interests are so entrenched in keeping the status quo. So that I get. But LA is a massive, massive city, and it is full of literally millions of car enthusiasts. And I have never had any sort of negative experience with anyone, throwing fake blood on my truck or whatever. Like, it's just that just doesn't happen. And I also think that there passes a point, for most cars at least, where people just understand they're looking at a classic, and that just is cool. Like, people just appreciate that. And so I would say the gas prices are probably the biggest headache about any car here, and especially that one. It's got a 33-gallon tank, and it gets about 8 miles to the gallon. So not cheap to operate. But no, like, I wouldn't hesitate to get another old car or another old truck here in a second, because the selections are amazing. A lot of people sell them for, well, cheaper than you could buy an equivalent car anywhere else in the country, especially when you factor in rust. But also, a lot of people are scared about passing smog, and so the second something throws a check engine light, oh, it's on Marketplace because I don't want to have to deal with this. And, sometimes it's a hard fix, but sometimes it's an easy fix. So I think that the reputation LA has, or California has, is primarily driven by edge cases and the perception that is always a little warped from afar. When you actually live here, which I love living here, like, that's the other thing, is people, on that YouTube video about emissions testing, one of the comments of the day was, why don't you move? Why get out of California? That's why I left California. And it's like, no, I get that. Like, you live wherever you want. Like, that, no one's telling you have to live anywhere. But I just love it here. The weather, the people, the climate, the culture, the opportunities. It is worth it to me to deal with high gas prices and smog testing and whatnot, because everything else outweighs it. And you go to any car meet here, and you'll see that, like, it's not just a bunch of, coastal elites or whatever, patting each other on the back for putting up with all this and driving their fancy cars. Like, as I used to live in New York City, which is not exactly an enthusiast bastion either, but there's a pretty strong car scene there too, especially you get out of Manhattan. But it's just it's so limited by the space. And space out here, there's space. Like, everyone knows someone with a warehouse where you can stash someone. Everyone knows someone with a spare spot in the driveway. You know a guy, right? You know a guy. So I think that the opportunity to engage with a passion for cars out here is so great, and it really outweighs whatever headaches real or perceived, come up on a daily basis.
I like that because I've heard people say, "Oh, LA is just street takeovers and Teslas. That's all."
Parts of it are. Parts
I'm
of it are. I don't go to those parts. That's another thing. It's a massive, physically massive city. It's like I can't even tell you what percentage of it I've been to. How many streets I've driven down. It's probably in the low 20s, even below that. Like, you just don't go to the places that don't speak to you or appeal to you. I do see evidence of takeovers around. You see the tire marks in the intersections. I don't know. There are idiots everywhere.
Yeah, we see them here in Texas too. People assume in Texas, "Oh, you guys all drive trucks." It's like, no, we got Porsches here too. Like Mercedes also. I mean, we got everything.
Yeah.
But all right, so leading to the next topic. I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, way more than me and Steven have been doing this, and I've been doing this. Next year will be my 10th year officially in cars, and I'm starting to feel myself becoming jaded from everything that I've seen and what's going forward. So, someone with way more experience than I am, how do you stop or prevent yourself from becoming that grizzled, jaded automotive rider who just says, "No, it's all going to hell, man. It's all going to be SUVs and electric." How do you stop yourself from becoming that person? Because I don't want to be.
Well, I'll correct you there a little bit. I've only been doing this for 8 years. I'm not a veteran in the sense of, I don't know, 10 years plus. I started at the Drive in 2017, and before that I was actually working at CNN and cable news hell. So I just had to get out of there. Like, it was a job.
I was going to ask you about Anderson Cooper, but go ahead.
He's very nice. He's a very nice man. I got to have lunch with him once as an intern. He was very kind and answered all my questions, and I don't have a bad word to say about him. But I'll let the listeners draw their own conclusions about why I left CNN, but it probably lines up with why you would do the same. And so I started doing this in 2017, and I think one of the things I thought right away was, because I wanted to do this, right? Like all of us, whenever you become aware that this is a job you can do, and that there is possibly a path for you into it, it's like, I will never take this for granted. Like, I want to do this so badly. Like, this is it. This is the dream. And I spent like most of my time at CNN reading car sites on my computer and not doing my actual job, and thinking how cool it would be if that was my job. And I started to pick up, especially on certain blogs, I won't name names, but I started to pick up that strain of cynicism of people who were just like, just hating on cars for the heck of it, or
burned out.
Taking for granted the opportunities that come our way in this business. And I thought, if I ever get lucky enough to do that, I will never be that person. I will always be a person who is grateful and thankful for it. So I had that in my mind from the very beginning. And then once I had the opportunity to do this, I think that the new car industry is one thing. The car world is a much bigger and broader thing. And what I've really tried to do at the Drive is take the kind of focus and attention and journalism that was being put on the new car industry and the product cycle and all that stuff, and apply it to everything else, because that's the stuff that people really care about. And as long as you can keep the new car stuff not really at arm's length, but not have that be everything that you do and the focus of it, that I think is the recipe to not burning out and not becoming jaded about it. Because every day there are stories coming up that inspire or excite or just get me or remind me why I wanted to do this. And it is true that more and more, less and less of those are coming from the product cycle. Whatever. We got other things to pay attention to. We got other things to talk about. Like one of my favorite kinds of stories that we do, and some of them end up going crazy viral because, again, like, who doesn't want to read about this? When people just like build crazy shit in their garage or their backyard, and then
we're gonna circle back to that.
Post an innocent photo gallery on Facebook, being like, "Hey, look what I did," and then we see it, and we're like, "That's amazing." We talk to them, interview them, and you both of you know these kind of stories. You do them yourselves, and giving that kind of person that spotlight and then seeing the reaction to it, it's like, oh, that's right. This is cars to most people, not whatever's coming out in the next model year. It's what people are doing with them now. And that's just going to continue, I think, to expand as the new car industry is more expensive, is less relevant and less responsive to enthusiasts, and is more about like keeping the sales numbers up than it is trying to fulfill unique mission briefs and put people in really interesting cars and like inspire passion in brand followers. So yeah, like I just try to pay attention to the things that make me happy and make our readers happy. And I also think there's a lot of satisfaction in calling out bullshit. So we try to do that a fair amount and not like just take automakers' words for granted. And, you know, if you do a good job, you don't need to worry about access. You don't need to worry about people like not returning your calls because they see that you have a following and an audience and they still want to be involved somehow. They don't want to just slam the door on you. And so they'll put up with you calling them out and making fun of them. We try not to make fun of people or brands or even, but like we're gonna play it straight. And I like doing that in counter to a lot of other outlets, let's say, and that brings me a lot of satisfaction too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember what you and Patrick George taught me when I first started for you guys. Like, look, if you're gonna say something bad about a car, not only do you have to support it as to why you're saying this is bad, but also highlight it 2 or 3 things that you actually did like. So don't just bash a car for the sake of bashing it. Support your argument, and then also state what you do like about it, so it doesn't read just negative. And that stayed with me the whole time. And that's how I review cars. And if I see something I don't like, I will hammer it into the ground, but then follow up with like, yeah, but overall, I love this other stuff with the car, this vehicle. All these features are great. Just this one little thing really pissed me off, and kind of just write the piece as. It didn't come out as negative. It's more just an analysis of the vehicle itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Patrick because he taught me a lot too in the time that he and I got to work together.
All right, so Steven, next topic. What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about automotive news or what we're driving this week?
We can talk about what we're driving because you guys have talked about a little bit. Like you drove your T-Bird,
Yeah.
Which did well. I hope no issues.
It got home. It didn't catch on fire.
How fully restored are we talking with this thing?
It's kind of a barn find because I pulled it out of a garage. It's been sitting there since 2007. I pulled it out in May, and so we swapped out the engine. It was a 390 V8, but it was rusted out from the inside. Didn't want to invest in getting that thing restored. Found another 390 V8 on Marketplace from a truck. Got that, put it in, put all the original parts from the engine, from the T-Bird, onto this engine, like the intake, carburetor, all the nice the valve covers that said Thunderbird on them. I painted all that. Got it running, driving, brakes done, new gas tank. Just basically fixing all the parts that it needs to actually run and drive. Because overall, the car is pretty sound because it's a California car that's been in Texas for 20 years. So no rust, all straight. There it is. Just got it today from Prairie Tire and drove it home, which is about 25-30 miles from my mechanic. And yeah, I'm glad that nothing burned down. I got up to 75 miles an hour on the highway. Yeah, no plates, no registration, nothing. Because I wanted
That's
to
beautiful.
Make it home, and I love it. And I love I don't know, you guys get this when you really drive a classic vehicle and you park it anywhere. I love when people come up to me and say, "Oh, my dad had one of these," or "My uncle had one of these," or "I had one of these," and they tell you the whole story. I love that. Like when I was pumping gas in that photo, this older gentleman stopped by. He asked, "What year is it?" I was like, 64. My mom bought me one in 71 when I joined the Marines. He's like, "Really?" Mine was a convertible. He started going wrong. And I was like, "What happened to the car?" Wrapped around a tree, but I got a convertible. He's like, "Oh, I'm glad you're still here, so thank you for your service." And he just took off. He was just staring at the car. Like, you could tell he was just going back in time in his head, thinking about all those memories he had with that car in the early 70s. And I love that kind of stuff. It's one of the things I enjoy most about driving older vehicles. But
yeah,
fortunately, I can drive older vehicles every day. So the car I'm driving this week is thankfully not an SUV because I was gonna go back to being jaded. Like sometimes I get a little SUV fatigue where I'm like, oh, if I get another SUV, what am I right about this time? They're all the same. But this time I'm driving the 2026 Mercedes AMG E53 wagon. That's the hybrid with the inline six turbo.
Wow.
It looks great. It's that concrete gray with the black line aesthetics. Black wheels, black outline grille. The illuminated grille in the front was a nice touch. But I turned it on and it had this really weird exhaust now. It turns out they're pumping in fake noise into the cabin, and that shocked me. First of all, that AMG is doing it, but the fact that it doesn't really need it. I mean, come on, this is a inline six turbo with a hybrid battery. It does make a pretty sound by itself. I don't know why they're trying to pump it up with fake noise, and it sounds weird. It sounds like the Charger EV, that kind of like motorized robotic tone. I was like, what is this? I thought it was an EV when I first turned it on. I was like, wait, no, there's gasoline in this. All right. So that I'm going to drive it more this weekend, take on a solo road trip to see if it handles better. But that noise scared me already. It's like, oh boy, what is this? Why am I paying $110,000 for fake exhaust noise on an AMG vehicle?
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you that a part of it, and I'm not speaking for Mercedes specifically here, but based on conversations I've had with other engineers at other brands, including other German brands, the way that new cars are insulated today is so much better than it was in decades past that even if they didn't pump it in, you would think it was too quiet because the sound does not come through the cabin like it used to. And so they do that. I would like to know what it's like without it personally, but they do that because they got feedback as the way that they constructed cabins started to really, really improve. Where's the engine noise? You can't hear it. And especially in a performance brand, there's a belief that I agree with that engine noise is really important for like that audible feedback when you're driving so that you can hear what the transmission is doing, pay attention. Like it's just a Band-Aid over a bigger problem that they kind of created for themselves. And there's other problems too. Like we are working on a story right now about how one of the reasons why stock audio systems in cars generally suck is because like the way that they pump those engine noises through the speakers, it messes with the normal calibration of how you would set up an actual sound system. And so it's like really, really hard to engineer around that. And I think most people would get a new car and be like, okay, it sounds great, whatever. But if there are any audiophiles out there, like, the difference between good and bad sound, and good sound is harder and harder to come by in part because of fake engine noise replacing, taking over some of those frequencies.
Quick sidebar. Do you have a favorite sound system in a car right now?
Me?
Yep.
I was just, the honest answer is no. I don't, we don't evaluate sound systems that closely in our reviews. It's just, it's just not what people are reading a car review for on our site. But I do think that Mercedes, what is it? The Burmeister?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just was at an event last week, when they had a Mercedes S-Class with the Dolby Atmos surround sound system. And that combination, is pretty impressive. The way that they can spin the focus of sound pretty much in a complete circle around the vehicle, like during a song. And so I think any car that has Dolby Atmos these days is pretty good. I'm trying to think. While I'm thinking, what's yours?
If I had to pick one, it would probably be the Macintosh system in like
in the Jeep
Grand Wagoneer.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Pretty. It's clear, but I wonder if it's also clear because it's got such a big space to make that noise.
Mm-hmm.
It's not trying to do it in such a cramped, tiny little box.
Oddly enough, Nissan has been pretty good about their sound system, even though they have like 4 or 5 of them. Like you go into Frontier, it's got Fender. You go into a Nissan Sentra, it's got a totally different I don't know why they do that, but I'm pretty fascinated. Like every time I get a Nissan vehicle, oh, what is it? Bose? Cool. Oh, Fender, nice. Just crank it, and for at least in my experience, pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it's Volvo of all brands. Their Bowers and Wilkins top pick system really good. Just like super clear. That I really enjoyed. And what was it, the XC90 that I drove last, I think.
I think McLaren has a deal with Bowers and Wilkins too. So not a bad association.
Company.
Well, it'll drown out that engine sound, so it's fine by me. The worst sounding supercar engines. I'm sorry. I love like 720S is one of the best cars, best supercars of the last decade, but those engines sound straight up agricultural. Like you're
totally right.
They're just not.
Funny story. My literal first press car ever was the 720S.
What?
Wow.
Like number one. Not like, oh yeah, first cool one. No. The very first time anyone let me drive anything that wasn't mine, it was that.
Mine was a Mazda 3, so you
Mine
started off on a stronger foot.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I got told I was getting a Nissan Kicks this week, and I got a Dodge Charger 6-pack. So that's cool.
Hey.
Still waiting on that car.
No complaints. It'll show up, bro. I mean, if it showed up to me, it's definitely showing up to you. So funny story, Kyle. We get the same press cars.
Oh.
Like
same
literally
region.
the exact same ones, yeah.
Got it.
Sometimes it's a few weeks apart. Sometimes it's like the next week. It depends on scheduling. But yeah, it's like, hey, did you get this one? Yeah, cool. I might get it later.
And we've talked about my thoughts on the Charger because I drove it. What was it now, Jesus? A month ago, something like that.
It was very unfortunate.
When they did the launch for it.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. The only travel of our staff that got screwed up by the shutdown and air traffic controller hullabaloo was trying to go to the 6-pack drive, whenever that was in November, and our brave and fearless Caleb Jacobs got stranded overnight in Charlotte trying to get to Knoxville, and we missed it. So we actually, I believe we have one on loan either now or imminent, but didn't get to experience that one.
I will tell you this, mine got messed up too. I flew from Little Rock to Atlanta and then rented a car and drove from Atlanta to Knoxville. Now, okay, I'm not some like crazy amazing person. First of all, it's only 3 hours. I didn't know that. It's only 3 hours from Atlanta to Knoxville. But two, my parents live in Knoxville. So when I got there, I just got to hang out with my folks for 3 days and
worked out.
Yeah, I literally got to, like, my little brother lives there. I literally got to take my little brother to work. He came with me to the event and was my camera guy for a day.
So, Kyle, before we end, I want to talk to you about the Drive's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And it's very important to me because I remember being in college, early 2010s, watching the Drive back when it was like Mike Musto, Mike Spinelli, Alex Roy had his own little series on that, and that really got me interested. Like, oh, I want to do this. So when I found out that you guys were relaunching, I'm like, yeah, great, because it's going to hopefully inspire the next wave of auto drone geeks like us to pick up a camera, start typing, start finding stories. Is there anything else you can tell us about the new relaunched Drive channel? What's coming up? What can we be excited about?
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you saying that. I never imagined or the idea that I or my very small team of YouTube producers would be able to live up to what the first era of the Drive, then called just Drive, YouTube channel would be like. That was never a question. Like, that is legendary stuff. We are kind of caretakers of that brand at this point. And when we decided to relaunch the channel, frankly, it was ridiculous that we had gone so long without publishing. I mean, it was going on, I think, 5 years at that point. And really, after that first couple of years, when any video that anyone thinks of when they think of the old Drive channel, it came out of like 2012 to 2015, thereabouts. Second half of last decade, it was, various corporate owners neglecting it and underfunding it, and God bless Mike Spinelli, who still carried on, and like there was still, that story that you showed the screenshot of pretty much lays out how it came to be dormant. But when we relaunched it, it was like, okay, we can't live up to that. I mean, just speaking honestly, like budgets are not what they were. That channel originally was funded by YouTube directly when they were trying to like get people to make real content back in the day. We are not funded by YouTube anymore, and we have to operate on a relatively, we call it a shoestring budget. But that said, the name means a lot, and so we knew that we had to live up to that standard in some shape or form. And I think what we do on the site is pretty good, and I just wanted to apply that ethos to this. And also looking around, like, there's a million places you can watch a car review, right? Like, I just did not see that as something that was realistic for us, because what are we going to do with a fraction of the budget that actually stands out in any way, shape, or form? It just inevitably makes it even more obvious for people to compare us to what came before us. So we launched last year with a couple of formats. One was Charisma. It was I will be honest and say it was a knockoff on Petrolicious. Like, they had stopped doing those kind of beautifully produced owner car profile documentaries, and I thought, I mean, those were awesome. I love doing those. And they always did them about like fancy cars and people with 5 houses and 20 Porsche, whatever. It's just like not relatable to people. So I thought, what if we did that, but focused it on like normal, accessible enthusiast cars? And we worked with a producer, Tom Gorlick, out of New York, and he was absolutely instrumental in getting the whole channel off the ground, because that's what we first launched with. And there's some learnings along the way. Like, we had to adjust some of our approaches to how we tell these stories, how do we get people to care, whatever. It's a different environment than it was even 5 years ago. But that was successful enough. And then looking around at what else is out there, it's like there's some of our best work on the site is just by like I said earlier, like speaking straight to people and not bullshitting them, and telling stories in a way that really reflects our knowledge and expertise, and just being authentic about it. And so I'm looking around at all these other channels outside of automotive doing, like, we call them explainer videos, where it's someone on camera just explaining a concept or a story or a debate or a controversy. And I thought, well, there's no one doing that in automotive now, so seems like an open lane for us. We started doing that in, I think it was April or May of last year, and immediately we were lucky but successful with the number of people watching those. And the thing, and this is a little inside the behind the curtain for like the business of YouTube today, what you have to, if you're gonna create anything, right, like, if you're doing it for yourself, fine, do whatever you want. That's great, and that's an amazing thing if you have the stamina for that. But we're a business, so we have to get people to watch, and we have to make money. And the way that you get new subscribers and attention on YouTube today is by looking at what else is succeeding and trying to find your version of that. And that's not to say you just copy people, but I'm sure someone else in my shoes would have been like, oh, the drive YouTube back, like, we're gonna be driving cars all the time. Like, they would have just tried like hell to do what they thought was like the best imitation of the old channel. But we're in a different decade now, and so I thought that there would be a lot of interest in us just like taking the brand as people know it and have come to enjoy it as a written product and putting that on video. So why not do these kinds of stories that other people might stick their nose up at because it's not a car review or it's not like, a build series or whatever. So yeah, we found some momentum there, and certainly
you guys have what, 14 million more views this year, something like that, like a bunch, right?
Oh, I think it froze. You there? I think it froze for a second. You got cut off.
Oh, my bad. I was saying you guys have like what, 14 million views this year, maybe more than that. Yeah,
around there, yeah. And that's we I'm very proud of the fact that the top video of all time on the channel, including going back in the day, is one that we did last year, and it was one of these explainer videos about this guy in LA who changed a highway sign that was not like pointing to the right exit, and like changed the commutes of millions of drivers. It's a dumb story. It's a silly story, but I think we did a good job putting it together. I think that we nailed the headline, or nailed the title and the thumbnail. Like, that's a huge part of it too. But it's got over 7 million views, right? So like that's now the record for the channel, and it reflects the fact that if we can hone in on that today, it doesn't matter. It matters how great it was back in the day, because that's what gave us a start. But it doesn't matter that people might compare us to what's going on back then, because we're doing our own thing now, and it's successful. And so that's what we were doing up until this year. And then this year we moved away from charisma, just to try different things and see what might resonate. We did a very short build series that honestly it was about K-swapping a 944, which has not really been done before. And there's this kit you can buy from a guy in Israel, and it's just like, it's really sketchy. And so Tom, the producer of Charisma, he wanted to give it a shot and pitched it, and I said, all right, let's see what happens. And unfortunately, it did not come together in the end, and we made the mistake. This is a good lesson for anyone running a channel. We made the mistake of airing episodes before the build was finished, not knowing if it was going to work or not. And so ultimately it didn't work, and it is still at a shop trying to get its bugs sorted out. We hope to have a new episode about that, kind of wrapping everything up by the end of this year, if not early January, but we'll see. And then just this summer, we launched a new series about high-performance driver education, because I think, again, we're not trying to gatekeep around here. Like, you can watch a Chris Harris review and appreciate how smart and how knowledgeable and how good he is at driving. But I think there are a lot of people, and if we want more people to become car enthusiasts, like, you gotta give them an entry point. And I think there are a lot of people, myself included, as I came into this, like, there are things, all of us have things we don't know. And I think that high performance driving is one of those things that looks cool. Obviously, everyone wants to do it. Like, it's a lot of fun. There you go, driver mod. But there aren't a lot of places that are trying to educate people in the form of a, fun 10, 15-minute YouTube video about concepts that you might assume but probably not. Or you take for granted the fact that a lot of people don't have the same background as you or have the same experiences as you. And so I thought this was something that was worth trying, and pretty much all the credit to my producer, Joey Rasul, who found our pro driving host, Nick Romano. He's an SCCA racer. He's actually raced in a lot of different series. He's like a pro driver, and he runs a performance driving clinic where you can hire him to teach you one-on-one. And the three of us started talking, and it was like, actually, I think we could do this. And we'd never produced anything like this. Like, everything else we've done is green screen studio, or, Tom out there filming people with their cars on deserted roads. So this one, we're renting racetracks. We're asking automakers for favors. We're putting out calls for owners if they want to let us use their cars for this and be featured. A lot of insurance involved in a thing like this, as I've learned. But all the videos have been really great so far, and I'm really proud of what we're putting out there, and the response too. Like, the first video was about snap oversteer, and Honda was nice enough to let us use the S2000 from their Heritage collection and showcase that. And the title is a little forward because you want attention, but there was a lot of really, really positive conversation going on in the comments of people thanking us for doing something like this, because they've always wondered about snap oversteer, and they could never get a straight answer just looking at all the other debates online, and they were waiting for someone to come out and be like, here's what it is, here's what it isn't, here's how you avoid it. So that's the ethos we're trying to bring to that series. And we'll have we have 4 so far. We're actually filming the final 2 of this first batch, because you got to do them in batches, in early January. We haven't fully locked it in yet, but hopefully at Chuckwalla Raceway out here in the desert. And those videos, one will be about how to make a fun or how to deal with the different approaches to a fun EV and how that translates in a track environment. So we'll have the Dodge Charger EV, relevant to what you just said, and the Ioniq 5N, which is, I think, the most fun EV you can buy. But it's like these different approaches. Where do they actually land? And then how do you take advantage of driving an EV on track versus a gas car? And the other one will be about how to steer without your hands and what footwork really matters, or how that really matters. Well, I'm not giving anything away because it'll be out there. Honda's nice enough to let us borrow their NSX from their Heritage Collection, so it'll be kind of an homage to that famous Senna video with the loafers. And actually, when I asked them for permission, that was the condition. They said, yeah, you can borrow the car. He's got to wear loafers. There you go. So you got that to look forward to in January. We'll have those videos up by the end of January.
That is
we'll see, get a little specific.
Super exciting. Very much looking forward to that. Go ahead, Jesus.
Oh, I'm like, hey man, you just heard it here, folks, the first time about this new video.
Yeah, exclusive sneak preview.
I was going to ask you, Kyle, do you have a favorite video since you guys have relaunched?
Ooh, that's tough.
Like picking a child, I know.
Yeah, well, I'll pick one of each because we got multiple formats. I think, the driving series, driver mod. We did the last one we did about tire slip angle. Was, I think, really, really smart and really, really, like, we were putting it together. We were trying to go for kind of like a Bill Nye vibe, and really get nerdy, but keep it very accessible. And that one, we talked our way into Galpin Motors out here in California with we drove a Porsche on glass. Porsche Santa Clarita, which is part of the Galpin Motors dealer network, and associated with the Autopian, Matt and David, those guys. They have a glass floor in their showroom that you can actually put a car on, because it's like a window down into this underground museum that they have down there. And Joey had this brilliant idea of, we want to do this video about slip angle, and we want to show what happens with a tire when you're turning the wheel. Why don't we try to put a car on that and turn the wheel and see what we can see? And we reached out to them. They had put a car in it before, and it is weight rated for that, but they were understandably a little skeptical that this was a wise idea. But we had lots of conversations about it, and ultimately they agreed because they're very good people. And filming that was we had no idea that was actually going to work. We were just like, hey, if we should be able to see something. And we got down there to the downstairs. We had another person up in the Porsche, drove it onto the glass, watching the tires kind of compress. And then as they're turning the wheel, it's like, oh my God, you actually can see the contact patch. The tread stays pointing in one direction. The rest of it moves around it. Like that is exactly the visual we wanted. So the way that one came together, I'm really proud of. And I think the final product was really, really, really solid. Of the explainer videos, I think I really like the one we just did about screens and how screens came to take over the dashboard, because anyone can sort of complain about buttons are better. I hate screens, but we really tried to trace all the reasons why screens came to be. And ultimately the answer is money, because it's cheaper to design an interior that's just a big screen. But why it's cheaper is a much deeper story. And so we dug into like how companies started picking up on the signals that people would like screens, and how it really has been a dream of automakers to put screens in cars for decades. Like, there are concept cars from the 70s with CRT monitors in them, and even though they tried them in the 80s and the technology wasn't quite ready, finally evolved to a point in the late 90s, early 2000s where it was like, all right, let's go. And then backup cameras being mandated. Backup cameras not mandated until 2018, but still became very useful in the 2000s as cars started getting bigger and you couldn't see out the back as easily. Even GPS opening up to civilian use in the 90s was a part of that, because that's what allowed automakers to start doing in-car navigation. And they'd been wanting to do that for a while, but that wasn't feasibly possible. And the second it is, it's like, all right, screens. So I think that one we tried. It was a bit more of a rant. It was not like a very detached view of things, but people are really responding to it. And then we did actually do our first car review this fall about the Ineos Grenadier, and it's not really a car review; it's more like a narrative about the car, but it has some car review elements to it.
You're gonna pick the car to do it. That's a good one to do it with.
There's a lot to say about it, and I was nervous because I thought people were going to be like, "What is this?" Like, you know.
But I do love that opening shot. You guys have that video of it.
Oh,
like, and then the title card. I love.
Yeah. Joey nailed that one. And I was very nervous about it, but I'm really, really proud of how that one came out. And again, the response, like, probably the most positive comments we've ever gotten on any video came on that one. People were just like really, really into the format, the approach we took, and you know, that's a signal for us that we should be doing more of those. So more to come there.
Awesome.
Do you have a favorite from old Drive?
You know, the Inside Koenigsegg series is still something that I look at and I'm like, that is so cool. Because it was hosted by Christian himself, and like there's no one really on camera. It's just this really immersive look at a company that is now, I mean, even then it was impressive, but like is now like seen as like the ultimate hypercar maker in a lot of ways. And 12 years ago when we shot that, it was still kind of a more obscure thing. And you know, and you can see that in the facilities, like they're still there, but they've upgraded them a lot. And just the way they were building the cars back then, it was just, I think it's a really amazing time capsule of a moment in car culture, in the industry. So that one I think stands out to me. Yeah. Well, what about you guys?
Do you have a favorite, Jesus?
I was a big fan of Alex Roy's series. We was just traveling around because I'm a big fan of Alex Roy in general. But when I saw that, there's a scene where he's in San Francisco, I think it's the first episode, and he meets up with Mike Musto in his Charger, and he's going to Air 51, but Musto's not going to take him all the way over there, so he just calls the car company, and they give him a press loan to drive over there. And that, I want to get to that level where I can just call car companies, and they just loan me a car because I'm making content with it. And here I am. It took me a while, but I'm here. But that really was like kicked me off. I remember being in college in the university library, not doing my work, watching those videos, not that light bulb went on. And so
do you have a favorite from the new series, Jesus?
The new one? I really like the Enos. The way it was shot, I was like, this is awesome. This is great. It did have that petrolicious vibe to it.
Thank you.
But when I saw it, I was like, yay. I was like, bravo, whoever. And filmed it, edited it. I was like, yes, love it.
That's Joey.
My answers are going to be super obscure. New one or old one first?
Go with the old one.
Old.
Anybody know who Frank, I think, Profira is?
Oh, yeah.
The world's fastest Lotus. This guy built a combi-charged Lotus. So, supercharger and a turbo. And Matt Farah goes and hangs out and like checks out. Like, it's just the dumbest car ever. It's just so ridiculous and so light and yet so powerful. And if I remember right, that car ended up totaled in LA traffic, like 7-8 years later.
Yeah. Although not an obscure choice because it is the second most popular video on the channel.
Oh, is it really? I had no idea.
Yeah. It's kept climbing. People still watch it all the time.
It's such a great car, and the sounds it makes are just like unreal. To just have such a light car, such a visceral feel, right? Like, I can only imagine what that must feel like to be behind the wheel of. New stuff, man, you guys have done a lot of good stuff. I really liked the snap oversteer thing. I thought, like, okay, they're back. Like, this is a thing. But probably more obscure and like I personally connected with the video about Redline.
Oh yeah. yeah, that one. That's one of our less viewed videos, I will say.
It is, but like hilarious on so many levels.
Thank you.
I remember seeing that when I was younger and thinking like, what is this? What are we watching right now? Like, how is this a thing? And I remember the news coming out about him wrecking the Enzo. And
Oh yeah. Yep.
it just felt it felt like a fever dream. It felt like this none of this can be right. Like none of this can be real. Like the wing falling off the Diablo in like the opening shot. I'm like, what's happening? How are we here
Yeah.
30 seconds in?
Yeah, I actually hadn't seen the video before we started work on that one because I knew about it. I was just like, I got too many other things to do in life than watch a terrible movie from 20 years ago. But
Yeah.
it's awful. But as I say in our video, it is also a pretty incredible capsule of that time and that era. And seeing at least the glamour shots of some of these cars, setting aside the questionable CGI, it's cool. Like it's cool. Yeah. So I think that movie deserves its bad rap, but can be appreciated on some merits at least.
Go ahead.
When we first started work on that video, what we wanted to do was try to draw a line between that Enzo crashing and the global economy collapsing, because like he was one of the big subprime lender, one of the first big lending houses to fall in the recession, but ultimately that's not provable in a court of law or otherwise that Enzo crash was the first domino in a chain that led to the economy falling off a cliff. But
you can't prove a negative either, though, Kyle. So
no. It certainly played a role. How big? We'll leave that to viewers to decide. But
historians,
that movie isn't making the rounds because these kind of movies tend to come back after 20, 15 years. They're like, hey, it's so bad it's good, especially car movies like this. I'm surprised because it kind of goes under the radar most of the times because people get hung up on all the Fast and Furious movies of that same era, because now there's like 12 of them. But that one movie, like, oh yeah, forgot about that one.
It lives in such a weird space. It's not like a D movie knockoff, like silly, like completely ridiculous. It's like it's really trying, to somehow match that same energy.
And the cars
and just it takes itself too seriously.
Yeah, that's it. Too seriously.
We'll have to watch it this weekend. Enough.
It's so
Put it on
silly.
the background,
Yeah, that's what it
for.
is. Yeah. There you go. Background for sure. What else you got, Jesus?
I'm tapped out, man. I'm good. That's where I wanted to hear all the insights from the drive, which I was really focused on, and Kyle gave us way more than I expected. I am so stoked about what's coming for 2026 with the drive.
Thank you. I mean, it's my pleasure. Like it's honestly, like it's so easy to. I was saying this to someone the other day. Like, it still amazes me for some reason when I run into someone in the wild and they don't know who I am or what I do, and I say, "Oh, I run the drive." They're like, "I love the drive," and I'm like, "You read the drive, really? Wow!" Like, it's very easy to forget that the work that we do reaches literally millions of people a month, and then millions more on YouTube. Like, it's an astonishing thing that this is my life. Like, I still can't believe it. So any chance I have to just ramble on about that, I will take. And grateful for you guys for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Oh man, we're so thankful. Like, we're two random dudes just talking car stuff every week, and
we're all in the same world, man. We're all in the same world.
Yeah, it's like you said earlier, it's a special job and it's a special industry, and like important not to take it for granted, because one day AI is going to take all of our jobs, probably.
At least we'll still have cars.
Yeah.
There you go. At least we'll still have the cars. Kyle, where can listeners and watchers find you, other than at the drive?
Yeah. If you can spell my last name, it is it's my name. I'm the only person in the world with my name, which is a blessing and a curse because I can't hide. But that means it's easy to find me. So at Kyle Cheromcha on Instagram. That's the platform I'm most active on. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. We'll see if I respond. That platform is a disaster. But yeah, Instagram is my main bag these days, and the drive is on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever, Threads, and of course YouTube. And we have a couple newsletters too, so check us out there. Subscribe, why don't you?
Why not? Great idea. Jesus, you got anything else before we cut out, my friend?
No, other than just thank you for listening and watching, and thank you to Kyle for joining us on this, filling an hour talking about cars. This is a lot of fun. Hopefully we get more guests like Kyle, because this is a high caliber guest for us, man. You guys are
No joke. I think you're literally the tallest guest we've ever had, Kyle. Just so you know. Wait, how tall are you exactly?
Physically tall? I'm not. I'm I'm 5'11". I'm a very normal height.
Oh yeah,
I don't
you're
think
definitely
I'm that
the
tall.
tallest. You're taller
okay.
than Atlantis.
Well, that's true. That's true. But
You're
there are also
definitely
a lot
taller.
of tall. There are a lot of tall journalists. Like I've at one point a couple of years ago, I looked around and like I hired a bunch of people who are taller than me. I don't know how I did that, and that was kind of a mistake because I don't have the power anymore. But it's yeah.
What one very silly question before we go. If you could have one daily driver, only one, what would it be? You can only have one.
Cadillac CT5e Blackwing.
Oh, that's the most practical choice we've ever had someone pick.
I drove that car for the first time a couple of years ago when it launched, and then actually that's what I'm going to be driving over Christmas because we're filming a video with that. And I've never gotten out of a car and thought like, this is it before that. Like it just checked every single box. I love sedans. And there is something so special about the fact that you can still, for now, until it goes out of production soon, buy a V8 manual rear-wheel drive performance sedan with a Cadillac badge on it. It's like, come on. Like, it's just, I did not stop smiling the entire time I had that car, and I wish I could afford one, because that is absolutely what I would be driving every single day.
All right. You heard it here first. When the drive... You guys are almost at 2 million subscribers. When it gets to 20 million soon in 2026, Kyle will have probably multiple CT5 Blackwings at that point. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the goal.
One for each day of the week.
Wow.
All right. Thanks so much, Kyle. What an honor. We appreciate you so much. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Thanks, guys.